So you're coming from a tech industry,
Yes.
but you pivoted
Yes.
to a content creator, and you decided,
Yes.
and not only general content creator, but specific to blockchain and crypto. You have been writing about crypto and blockchain since a couple of years now, and
Yes, that's correct.
and I want to test your perspective is on how big of a problem do you think this fake news is right now? And how big of a problem do you think there will be in the future? Are we exaggerating? Is this just something that we made up because of our echo chamber, or what's happening here? You as a content creator.
Okay. I can simply say that it is not going away. The problem is definitely real. The echo chamber part is also there, but it's sort of in a different direction where if somebody believes something, they propagate it, and there is an echo chamber for themselves as well. The advent of social media is like that. If I have a fake news to propagate, I can essentially do it. And our followers will believe that. That's the problem, right? Fake news was never not there. Like, everybody tried to run a propaganda for sure, like since hundreds of thousands of years. But the information that goes out and goes into people, that's so fast nowadays. Used to happen before, so I think that it's not going away. But if you ask me how I sort of deal with it, is from blockchain and cryptocurrency part, we don't have that problem as much as the general news have that problem, right? Even if we are talking about COVID-19 now, we have that problem. So technology-wise, it's not that big a deal, at least for now. But I think we'll have these deepfakes and all coming in, and that would be a problem sooner or later for sure.
And this is exactly what I wanted to jump in, deepfakes. So, can any of you, maybe I was planning to ask Paolo, what are actually deepfakes? For not a lot of people are aware of deepfakes. Deepfakes is something amazing when I first heard about it. Like, really, really cool when somebody explains it to you, and then you realize, oh crap, this is a nuclear weapon that they can do a lot of damage. Maybe you can spend 60 seconds, a minute or two just to explain what are deepfakes and what is the possible impact in the next 5 years of this technology going amok.
Okay, great. All right. So, deepfake is when the video is created with the person or speaking something, but that person is actually not there recording that video. Okay, so I can record a video, I can say something, and they could just morph the President of India's picture on top of me, and it would look like the president is actually saying those things. They can morph the voice onto it, and it would just look like an original video. And there is actually really no way to figure out if that's a deepfake or not. And just quickly, 15 seconds, I'll tell you that the elections in Delhi in India happened this year, and the BJP candidate actually used a company's services to propagate a video in multiple languages. That candidate was shot in just one video, and then they created 100 different language copies and they sent that video out. So it looked like the candidate was talking in 100 different languages and was sent out to people, right, through WhatsApp groups or Facebook groups, and that's how they tried to get the information out there. They did it. They actually did it.
In a way, it's like an evolution of the yellow journalism, right? Because fake news had this grandfather, which is yellow journalism, tabloids. They have been inventing things forever, and by printing them on paper, people used to think they are true. So what you're explaining in deepfakes, it's almost the same, but from this era, from the 21st century, right? So I want to be with it. But it's still a matter of education, right? Because the thing is that people don't use common sense, and they will believe anything that comes on social media. So maybe it's the moment to go back to the sources and before spreading, the word on some piece of news, checking ethic media, right? So this brings another problem, which is if you need to go back to wait for decent media or recognized media to say, okay, this is happening and this is true, what happens with hegemonic communication, like then you give a lot of power to them. I think we're bouncing from one place to the other. Hegemonic media have all the power because what they say was the truth. Then we have citizens expressing themselves on Twitter and social media, and they are expressing false things, fake news and real news at the same time. And now we need to get to the middle, And how would you suggest to?
I think it will be kind of like an evolutionary journey, I would say. So we have to try to educate people. I have been part of many events where we have been discussing these things, like in some schools in UK we're actually employing these in their course programs actually. So where they educate children on identifying different kinds of disinformation or this kind of stuff. So it's kind of like a game. So they have a card game which kind of is passed around the group of people, and then they try to educate students accordingly, like based on different things like that, let's say, on the card. So it's I think I came across one the other day, like there was a website which kind of gives you the reverse engineering, the reverse psychology kind of perspective, where they ask you to kind of spread disinformation, kind of create disinformation. It's a game still. It uses reverse engineering to educate people. So let's say, like, if we take the example of COVID-19, so they ask you to write a statement which makes this much more viral, for instance, or much more so that the other people will share it or something like that. So when you write something, they try to score it based on some algorithm or something. So it kind of reverse engineers and opens your perspective much more when you are sharing different information and so forth. But eventually, like over the time, this has to be done with education, with tool sets, with analytics, and also with sources, as you described. We need to have more accurate sources of information, like blockchain, for instance. If you start timestamping information on blockchain, and then over the time, then you can identify where was this first information generated.
Sorry to cut you off, but that's an interesting point. And I had an extensive discussion with a friend of mine. He is a journalist and he is a blockchain enthusiast. And he had this example exactly, but he couldn't answer this question. So the problem that, timestamping the news, is not going to solve fake news. If I create a fake news, believable, or if I use deep fake, okay?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Sorry?
So when I say timestamping about blockchain, I refer to oftentimes like if you think from a computer perspective, like when it consumes a piece of information like a natural language processing algorithm, it's ones and zeros. It's kind of neural network, right? So you have these vectors which can be used, and these can be timestamped. These are unique. These represent a piece of article. But when you have this information recorded on blockchain, then you can try to find the source. Where was this initially generated? Because if I change a piece of information and publish it again, then the blockchain timestamp doesn't make any sense. So, but identify on a fundamental context level as well, different sentences and different phrases, how are they being used and so forth. So that's where kind of blockchain helps you to track back in time and see, and maybe some regulations will come in place.
Now, man,
Go ahead.
So I think if you take a little bit of a step back, right, the problem is fake news goes viral because people believe it, right? And if we want people to not believe it, we want people to sort of start verifying it themselves, right? Whether it's on blockchain or whether it's any other means of verifying it, once they start doing it, fake news is not going to be a problem. So fake news is a problem because people are gullible, right? The speaker before you said the same thing. So I think any number of education or any level of education will not change that part, because there is always a new generation coming in and sort of, getting swayed into this fake news era, right? And that is how governments work, or that is how any information works, right? There is always propaganda machinery at it, right? In any simple way. So I don't think that blockchain or any other solution can help when it comes to verifying sources. I think that we have to really, really go into understanding how we can make people start verifying it themselves. And I want to add that, because I'm a very people, like my community is who I am in touch with almost every day. So I am part of very WhatsApp groups, and they all forward things, and I sort of give them back the right information, right? And then when I confront them, they're like, it's social media, who the fuck cares, right? I'm sorry for that language, but this is what they say. And how do you fight that? Like, it's frustrating, to be very honest, right? But I think we can circle back to the first point that when I joined, Luca was making, was about confirmation bias, right? If I believe that there is bleach going into my body and curing COVID-19, I am going to just propagate that information, right? Why would I care about anything else? If I am afraid of COVID-19 and if I think that injecting bleach is going to save me, that's my holy grail, right? Why would I want to put in an effort to find out anything else? And it boils down to that confirmation bias, right? So I think I honestly don't have a solution, but I don't think that, finding out a way to make fake news verifiable is the only solution. That is necessary, but also, you bring the horse to the well, but you have to make him drink the water as well. That's the problem, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a mix of things that goes into place, because people will not spend time more than now to verify or validate the information. So it has to be easy for them to get these things done. So there comes the technology and analytics and big data and all this kind of stuff to map them and show them clearly, okay, this could be related to this and this and this, so forth. Maybe new technologies, new solutions will come into play, and I think that's how we solve this.
So,
I think if you start charging people to post on social media, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, that's also a valid argument. But then, this is the thing. Everybody knows this argument. It's free right now. You cannot start charging it because the people were revolted because you're doing, you are now paying for it in a different way. You're paying for the internet. You're paying for the laptop. You're paying for a lot of things that allow you to do posts on this social media. But if you ask them to pay even a fraction, like 0.0000001 per post, they would just go amok. Everybody would just go amok. Why? Because, people were complaining when electricity was being introduced. People are now complaining about 5G. Like, they're blaming COVID-19 for 5G or vice versa. I don't know. So you have this event here about all these new things. And I think we're going to be this is going to be kind of an incremental step-by-step approach for this. While we arrive at this, but I think that a lot of people, although the mainstream is there and the social media has been massively used by everyone, like from 3 to 333, things go old really fast, and everybody, the kids are looking for new stuff. Today is TikTok, tomorrow is, I don't know, BlockTok or whatever. So, who knows? Before we wrap up, just a couple of questions. So we have some questions in the audience, but before that, a question for Sukesh and both Naimish. So what is unbiased, and what is basically coin? Go ahead.
Yeah, so unbiased is basically what we're doing. Our mission at Unbiased is to fight biased AI, fake news and misinformation. So that's our mission. We started 2 years back. So today, when we started with the idea of fake news, we kind of soon realized that no one's going to believe if we say something is fake or real. everyone has their own prejudice bias and everyone has their own perspective. So we kind of dig into much deeper level, like, okay, if how can we prove that this algorithm is built in a transparent way and this is how it's predicting fake news. It should be explainable and so forth. So today what we're doing is going much deeper into the technology as well, like building AI in a transparent way, in an unbiased fashion, starting from collecting the data, how the data is being used to build an algorithm. And the next steps is where we try to challenge the fake news, the concept of fake news, by providing an easy platform for everyone to get an insight on a particular topic. So let's say different people have different opinions about COVID-19. For example, in Sweden, the government didn't take care of any action, right? So what we want to provide with this search engine, unbiased search engine, is that you should be able to search, for example, COVID-19 in Sweden, and there are numerous opinions on the internet. We aggregate these opinions and present you insights. For example, okay, this is how 50% of the people in Sweden think it's okay, it's fine, it's positive, and 30% think it's negative. And these are the key things that they're talking about in different social media platforms. So this is a simple tool, but it kind of gives you much more perspective rather than just limiting yourself into this bubble of information on different social media platforms, whatever you are using. So that's our second stage. And in third stage, we want to, as I mentioned, timestamp and use different technologies to crowdsource and validate the information that's being spread. For example, a particular news article is being spread widely, and it's kind of the top article right now in discussions across platforms. We want people to validate this information. We want people to work on this information. There are, of course, a minute group of people who are interested in validating, but we want to provide them incentives in doing so. So we want to build these solutions in a step-by-step manner, but at the end of the day, we are fighting this problem of biased AI, fake news, and disinformation.
Awesome. Sounds really, really cool. And hopefully we're going to see this in action very, very soon, widespread across the planet. Naimish, on your end, maybe you describe in a similar fashion, like Sukesh, and basically maybe just, to wrap it up, what do you think this is going to happen? Are the tools like unbiased going to be universal and be used like we use, Google to verify some, facts in an argument, or, where's the world going to go?
Okay. First of all, Sukesh, wonderful product that you are building. Okay. I'm sorry with you that you were talking about blockchain, and I still don't think that that's going to help entirely. But the AI part, I definitely love it. It's brilliant, right? At least for CoinGrant, we use human intelligence and human intelligence only. So we go to the source, right? We wait for officials to respond to our queries, and then we publish that query with enough evidence so that even if it's 15 days late, we are able to give the right information, right? So we are taking the 20th century approach, but I think that's more or less working because it's a blockchain and cryptocurrency domain, and we are very limited to India. Now, to answer Luca's question about how I see it, unfortunately, and this is going to sound really bad, but unfortunately, you cannot weed out the large segment of the population which would sort of be prejudiced or have their own biases, right? You cannot do that, and eventually maybe, but I just personally think that if there was a way, it would have been done, right? We believe in fictions as it says in the book *Sapiens*. We believe in fictions like God. We believe in fictions like mythology. We believe in fictions like religion, because that can drive a large population, and that is what is governing fake news as well. It sort of brings a large population together. So the job of a verifier or the job of an unbiased platform like Unbiased is going to always be tough, to be different from the masses. But the good thing is, if we are able to incentivize enough people to do the right thing, then maybe it will in the 10, 20, 30 years down the line, it will sort of propagate into the larger population. So I think that's how I look at it. until and unless the fake news researchers are incentivized well, and people themselves are incentivized well to do the research themselves, we will not have a solution to the problem of fake news. But Unbiased or any other platform which is doing that right now are going to lead the way. This is what I believe.
Very cool. Very cool. We have, before we jump out or wrap up, we have a couple of questions, or actually one. So just a reminder for everyone. Questions, you can turn on the mic, you can talk to us, or write it here, or in the YouTube, or on Facebook. So Hassan is saying, if you want to block fake news, the blockchain will not work here. Google should launch it.
I think
that's a statement. Maybe you want to turn on the microphone and tell us why do you think that this is not going to work by using blockchain, and Google will?
Yeah. Sukesh, would you like to take that, because you're sort of taking on the Google challenge, to be very honest.
Yeah, sure. Like, I think, of course, I wouldn't say like completely we have to depend on the blockchain. Blockchain just adds a bit more trust to it, but we have to do a lot of other things to really fight this problem. I wouldn't say like Google should launch it. Well, they should try it, but they have to change their complete business model and everything. Because Google is fundamentally built on connecting you with information and keeping you engaged with that information and extracting more data from you so that they can sell more ads to you, right? So that's their fundamental business model. So they cannot go away from it if they want to align to a specific side, whether it's if they want to align to really challenge this fake news, then others will start complaining that, okay, Google is bad or something like that. We always see this kind of news every day. So we need new platforms which bring these both-sided opinions. So that's what we need.
I want to add also that Google, if Google does that, the right wing or the left wing, one of those wings is going to be very mad at Google. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I don't know if they will ever do it. So
no, I don't think they will do it, but we'll probably try to.
This is the thing. The skin in the game.
Yeah.
Their skin in the game is stupid. They're living off free content online. This is their bread and butter.
Yeah.
And living off gathering information for us. So from my perspective, they have no incentive. Like one part of their incentive is keeping like internet kind of good enough.
Yeah.
So nobody riot, but again, they can do whatever they want. In a blockchain, like 10 years from now, when we transition to this blockchain decentralized, fully autonomous and distributed world where they're not the base layer about internet, I think they have nothing to look for. And I think they're scared of this. And I'm sure they're going to try to block this somehow. I'm not paranoid, I'm just realistic. I mean, if I was in that position, I would think in the same way. Look, like $100 billion, and I am, earning from this, and now somebody wants to kind of take that away from me. Yeah. So,
not really.
I would this like do no evil, and have this new paradigm in the blockchain can't do no evil because of design. And I think we're transitioning into this phase a little bit. So I don't know. Thank you very much, both. This has been a lovely conversation. I hope we'll have many, many more.
Yeah.
Hope you're gonna join us next week with some other topics.